Hello students, this lecture is for BA 6th semester and today I am going to throw light on treatment of Biwi Haldar, a story prescribed in your course from the collection of a story of Jhumpa Lahiri entitled Interpreter of Melodies. If you look at the title of the prescribed story, it is Treatment of Biwi Haldar. Biwi Haldar is the name of a female character and perhaps she is suffering from some disease, and about that treatment story writer narrates the whole story. And if you look at the collection title, that is Interpreter of Malady, there is a word malady. Malady, that means the diseases, and especially those diseases which are uncurable, which can't be cured. So there is the complete title, Interpreter of Malady. So Interpreter of Maladies, that means if somebody is suffering, and especially I should add one word that is called female malady. So definitely when we are talking about categorized disease, that means female and male, it means some of the diseases are specific to gender, just as society has propagated, or as it is popular, or maybe that scientifically it is true, but the concern of the story writer is what? Mind it, nowhere in the story it is told that exactly from which disease this female protagonist Biwi Haldar is suffering from. But some of the female diseases which are traditionally described like hysteria, nymphomania, sometimes neurotic disorder is associated with the women's psychosexual stages of psychosexual diseases. So hysteria and nymphomania, when a woman is having morbid sexual desire and that is unfulfilled, then women they get fits of that, so turning and twisting their body in different way. So all these talks are available to us in the name of certain diseases. So before entering into the narration, before entering into the story, I just want to highlight here some of the maladies, some of the diseases are peculiar to female, and in the Victorian society there was a term called moral madness. And if a woman was admitted at that time in the hospital, it was analyzed that either she is suffering from a female disease or male disease. Now when you are talking about diseases, then why to diagnose somebody on the basis of gender? So first of all, there should be a study over this, that is there any disease that is gender specific? Or and if it is true, then what should be the treatment of family members, society, and the people surrounded to that suffering, that person who is suffering from particular disease? So these are some of the questions with which I would like to deal with this story. However, story is very long, so I won't be able to take all the lines, but I will be reading from the text some of the lines. But before that, I'll throw some light on the perspectives available here. So if you go through this treatment of Biwi Haldar, the story begins like she's 29 years old. And look at the scenario that when you are 29 years old and you live with your cousin and the wife of the cousin and you are orphan. So what is the first question of society or the problem of unmarried girls? And especially when they started considered as like they are crossing the age of marriage. So what is the approach of society towards a normal girl? And her case, case of Biwi is totally different because she is suffering from a mysterious disease and name of the disease is not known. Many pathies are tried over her. So allopath, homeopath, Ayurveda, so many pathies are tried over her to cure her disease, her unknown disease. But my question and my point that why don't you try sympathy? Why don't you, means you don't have proper medicine of a disease if it is uncurable, but you have control over your own behavior, you have control over your attitude. So at least you may realize that person that you should live here comfortably, especially when a character who is shown living in the house of her cousin and with his wife. So in such a scenario, in such a case, the mental state or the mental balance is somehow somewhere most important than the treatment. But what happens when the story begins? We have to take care that is she really mentally ill? No, she is not mentally ill. She is suffering from such a disease, and that disease, perhaps hysteria. On the basis of my entire study, I just guess that perhaps it is a disease called hysteria, but nowhere it is mentioned by Jhumpa Lahiri. And so what should be the treatment of the family members? This is one of the questions. And apart from this, if you look at the Jhumpa Lahiri as a writer, she is famous being diasporic in her approach, and I hope you understand diaspora. That means when you are settled in another country and you have remembrance and memory of your own native place where you have taken birth, but due to dollar, that means either it is dollar diaspora or imposed diaspora. In any case, if someone is settled in abroad and there is happy remembrance of the home and sense of alienation, and there is a collapse of the boundary, that country that you are living, so all these things with which diaspora deals. So you might be thinking that this particular story has nothing to do with diaspora. Then why I'm talking about diaspora? No, something diaspora has to do here, because Jhumpa Lahiri, who was settled in US, and she's from the typical Bengali family from Kolkata. So time and again in her novels and in her stories, what do we find? That characters are from India, and even Biwi Haldar, this name is typical Bengali name. So this is the focus of Jhumpa Lahiri, that especially a woman, a character who is in her own family, who is living in her own country, even then she is feeling such a kind of emotional crisis. So this emotional crisis somewhere somehow Jhumpa Lahiri correlates with her sense of diaspora, because every time if you go through her novel Namesake, there also she talks about this feeling, this sense of alienation and this homelessness, the crisis, identity crisis. So unhomeliness, these are the in-betweenness, these are the common experiences of all the diasporic writers. So we find such case in her novels also. So the way she narrates the story, she emphasizes over this issue that living in her own family, Bibi realizes this emotional vacuum. There is ill treatment, misbehavior. She is suffering on whose account? Is she really, born with this kind of disease? Or this disease is getting increased with the treatment of the family members? How are you behaving? So the crux is that either you have cure of any disease or not, but you should behave properly with a person. So I would like to take some of the lines from the text, and then I'll be giving perspective. And the text is available to me here in soft copy, and you may download the PDF that is in the last, this story is in that collection. So as I told you that it begins with this description that she is 29 years old. For the greater number of her 29 years, Bibi Haldar suffered from an ailment that baffled family, friends, priests, palmists, ministers, gem therapists, prophets and fools. So when Bibi's mysterious disease was stressed by her cousin, by her family members, they consulted to many such advisors, but not a medical advice he took. So he went to palmist, he went to this mazar and that mazar, so this holy temple and that holy temple, but not proper medication was offered. And the highlight is that Bibi is 29 years old and she is yet not married. Then you can understand the treatment of society and orthodoxical nature of the society, and so on and so on. Now, skipping some lines, I would here quote that how X-ray, probes, escalation, injection, so many things, enchantment of the Vedic verses. Like in our culture it is believed that if you are suffering from any disease and there will be enchantment of the some mantras, powerful mantras, your problem will be cured. So I don't mean to question here power of mantras, but when you suffer from something, you need proper treatment of that. Right now, if somebody will be suffering from corona, so will you be by enchanting your mantras, will that person be okay? Okay, you may pray for to God for the cure of that person, for the well-being of that person, but it is not the proper remedy. So this is how stories goes on, and so many suggestions are coming. Somebody suggests that she should be taken to the martyr place, she should be taken temple here and there. But nature of illness is not traced, nature of illness is not revealed, and it is called a very mysterious illness from which BB is suffering. So time and again, what do we find in this narration? That Jhumpa Lahiri has taken over her own shoulder this responsibility to answer the questions of the readers, because the way beginning takes place of this story, one thing is clear, that reader's mind is fixed, reader's mind is settled, that BB suffers from a disease which has no cure, and society attitude, and especially the society attitude, is formulated from the attitude of the family members. However, case of BB is different, because her neighbors are very cooperative and they take care, they often look after her whenever she gets this fit and this attack of her unknown disease. So Jhumpa Lahiri has taken over her shoulder this responsibility by soliloquies, the soliloquies that come directly from the stance of BB, and through those soliloquies we come to know the perspective of the BB, and in a way answer readers they get from the soliloquies of this central protagonist, who is here called as Biwi Haldar. So in the morning, BB arrived in the storage room. So let me tell you that how she lives. This cousin and his wife, they are living together, and what happens that the wife of the cousin is pregnant, and she is to deliver baby. So as you know, the orthodoxical believe that a mad lady lives with us, so what will be, maybe that her impact will come to our next newborn baby, so she must be stored somewhere. So you know, so many families, typical Indian families in past, you may have listened from your granny, grandmother, such a kind of narration, that ladies, they were stored somewhere, you know, those who are mentally ill. So they should not come in the drawing room, right? They should not come in the drawing room. They should not meet people. People should not know that a lady who is mad. So those who are suffering from some madness, some illness, they are kept aside. They are not allowed to come in the public domain. So this ill treatment, this misbehavior must be, you know, curtailed. This is the focus of Jhumpa Lahiri, that why are you deliberately making her feel that that alienation, that suffering. So her disease becomes double, her problem becomes double if she suffers emotionally. So it happens that BB is there, you know, when this good news come from the side of the sister-in-law of the BB, and then she is stored, she has given a very narrow space at the roof, and somehow, means that place is so narrow that one may not stand up, and in that environment BB survives and she lives permanently there, and she just comes down for the essentials. And that too, you know, she was not eating by sitting at home. Her brother runs general store, and some of the works she does related to the general store. So in a way she was involved in the physical labor, the labor which was expected, which was required from the side of her brother and sister-in-law. She was performing those duties. Even then she was receiving misbehavior and this kind of ill treatment. So as I told you that her soliloquies are important, so I will be taking one of the soliloquies. Her soliloquies mockquiz, her sentiments maudlin, malice dripped like a fever from her pores. In her most embittered moments, we wrapped her in shawls, washed her face from the cistern tap, and brought her glasses of yogurt and rose water. So you know, the neighbors, when she gets this fit, this attack, what happens that they just note it down, that what kind of expression she gives the moment she is in the grip of the attack of this disease from which she is suffering, which is not known. She utters some of the words which are not clear, a mawkish tone, very sentimental words she used to produce at that time. And people, they used to wrap her in shawl, and she is having tremendous energy in her body, and she's just twisting and turning her body. So some of them are applying yogurt, some of them are applying rose water, as if she is not in her own consciousness. So as if her consciousness will come back if she will be thrown all these remedies, the home remedies. So in moments when she was less disconsolate, we encourage her to accompany us to the tailor and replenish her blouse and petticoats, in part to provide her with a change of scenery. So these neighbors who are very concerned to her, they keep on suggesting that you should take care of your dress, because dressing is important, and if you will look good, then perhaps you will feel good. But if you just pay attention to her another soliloquy, you will come to know that how she has developed her mind, like what has been permanently residing in her mind regarding her own self. So people are suggesting that, look baby, if you want to get married and marriage is the only solution, then nobody would like to marry to a girl who looks like a dishwasher. Really. So do you know what happens? That very rough kind of clothes she is given for the whole year. Just as I think this kind of behavior, a person who is having little bit sensibility will not do even with these servants, right? So her brother, what he used to do, that once in a year he used to go on a shop, and a very rough kind of clothes were just taken for 4 clothes in a year, 4 dresses in a year, for that matter 4 clothes he used to purchase. And this is how, like a dishwasher, like a wetter, top to bottom she is wearing dress like gown, means very it is not matter of impression and unimpression, but very dirty appearance. So people, they used to suggest that if marriage is the only remedy, or she may have emotional treatment, people, that means never. So they used to say that, baby, you take care of your look, and who will marry to a girl who looks like a dishwasher? We told her, do you want all that fabric of yours to go to malls? She sulked, pouted, protested, and sighed. Where do I go? Who would I dress for? Look at the word. Where do I go? Who do I dress for? That means this thing was disturbing to her, that alienation, loneliness. Very poignant story is this of treatment Biwi Haldar. So she says that, I will dress for whom? She demanded. Who takes me to the cinema? So Biwi is not different than others. Just as every girl nurtures a dream that I will get, if she is not career oriented, then every girl nurtures a dream, because girls, they are taught from the very beginning that marriage is the only crown, and ultimately at the end of the day you are going to have your marriage, and your Rajkumar will come on the horse, and you will be wearing white frock, and you will be living inside the window. So this is how chastity and purity is taught and inculcated to women from the very beginning. So is the case of Biwi. But Biwi is hopeless in her case. Why she is hopeless in her case? She is hopeless because who will marry to me? Who will take me to cinema? And she writes that who will take me to that Jew garden, and who will buy for me that lime soda, and who will give me that cashews. So wishes, look at her wishes of a common woman, very common, ordinary wishes. My marriage, my husband, I will have dry fruits, I will have lime soda, and I will have this and that, and perhaps I will having that key of Almira, and out of my marriage, in overnight I'll be so rich by possessing some ornament, because as per the tradition, because the story is settled in the Bengali environment, so Bengal is not different than our Indian culture. So that overnight the marriage will take place, and I'll be master of that Almira, key of that Almira, where so many ornaments will be. So these are the common wishes of a lady, because she is not educated and career oriented, a girl. So admitted, are these concerns of mine? I will never be cured, never married. So these are the soliloquies to which we should pay attention to understand the working of the mind of Bibi, and how family members are continuously behaving with her, and that is the concern of Jhumpa Lahiri, that if one is suffering from the ailment or disease, at least family members should support and they should take care of the near and dear one. But then a new treatment was prescribed for Bibi, the most outrageous of them all. One evening on her way to dinner, she collapsed on the third floor landing. So, time and again she used to have this attack, and time and again people, they used to take her to hospital, and then no cure. So doctor suggested that only marriage can be her cure. But brother was not ready to accept her at all, and ultimately what happens, that brother leaves her lonely in the apartment, and she just lives upstairs in that narrow lanes where means the space was very claustrophobic, claustrophobia, where you cannot survive, where you cannot breathe properly. So fear of dying inside the room. So environment, the place that was, means even a person cannot stand up properly in right order. So in that scenario, she was living her whole day and night. इस तरह से तो normal इंसान will be ill, means normal person will be ill. So so story is quite long. I must sum up here the story and then the perspectives. So what happens, that brother leaves to her, and she is there, and she kept on struggling with her day and night, and somehow she got her food, and she was living anyhow her life. And time and again brother used to come to see her, and at the end it is discovered that she is pregnant. And after being pregnant, her illness is cured, right? And she delivers a baby, and she becomes quite normal. So what happens, there is no such mention that like people try to discover that who disgraced the honesty of this lady who was not in her own state of mind. And when perhaps she got fits or some problem she felt, during that moment somebody raped her or what has happened, it is not exactly declared in this story, but she gets the moment it is discovered, people surrounded, this surrounding in the people, they were asked and they were questioned that how it has happened, but no one reveals, and it is not revealed till the last. But somehow she is cured, and she starts living her life happily. So if you look at the whole narration and the whole soliloquy that she utters, it shows that that ill treatment, misbehavior. And the point is here that suppose if a woman is suffering from a malady, and that malady is especially female malady, and here suffering from female malady, that means a woman is having morbid sexual desire. Suppose that one is suffering from such a disease. So first of all, family members, they will be reluctant in declaring this very thing, that this is the exact disease, because they feel that my family will be disgraced, or here insult we will experience. But the point or the whole perspective which Jhumpa Lahiri wants to inculcate in the mind of the readers, that please try to be a good human being at least. And this journey begins from your own place, from your own home. If you are not good, then nobody can, then from others you cannot expect. So family member support is must. And this is how I stop here with some of the perspectives. I'll be back on Jhumpa Lahiri's treatment of Biwi Haldar. Thank you.